mobilized a ton of equipment, worked throughout the night in conjunction with RCMP, fire department, and town crews who helped to secure the scene. At this point, all but 3 rail cars have been demolished or removed. If you go out to the site, you'll see a pile of rubble that is there. There are 3 cars still on the south side of the line that will be removed, and as anticipated, they will be removed by the end of the day. 240 feet of track has been replaced. They had machinery working throughout the night, and they had their tampering machine and ballast machines working this morning to get the line ready. We understand that there will be a train going through town today. There is problems still with the signalization at that crossing. That crossing right now is still temporarily closed. We will have manpower on site to ensure safety at that crossing. The is only anticipated that we'll see 1 train today. Engineers and an inspection team will be on site for when that goes through. They'll be operating at reduced speed, as well they will be doing more checks after the train goes through today. CN has provided us with some information, a press release that will go up on our town website here immediately following this meeting, and we'll be happy to give you a copy if you would like. As we anticipate that those 9 residents, those 5 families should be in their homes later today if everything goes well. That's all conditional to the 3 boxcars that are still waiting on the south side. CN's risk assessment team will be meeting with those families today to talk about getting their damages fixed, their properties, and so on and so forth. So at this point, obviously for our town council, Transport Canada looks after rail lines and rail safety in communities throughout Canada. They have a ton of regulations and policies and procedures that have to occur on a regular basis, as well as processes that have to be followed in an incident like this. Causes still being determined, their investigation is ongoing. We anticipate having some information that we'll be able to publicly share next week. This is information that we'll be able to share within days, not weeks. So we appreciate CN making an effort to get to the bottom of that matter quickly. They have assured us, though, that at this point they feel the rail line is safe and are taking steps to allow traffic to pass through there. I think Mayor, Council, and all our residents, obviously are concerned and left with some uneasiness. We have a lot of questions, but we'll wait for some results to come from that investigation, and we'll be monitoring the rail line closely. CN committed last fall to doing some upgrades and some investment in capital infrastructure in this area, and we're still committed to doing that. We're waiting for their timelines, as they told us that would be done this spring. So we will hold them to that. So at this point, I'd entertain any questions anybody has.
When you heard about the derailment yesterday, what was your first thought? You have to be before you know what the cars are, I'm assuming.
Obviously our first concern is human life, obviously, and making sure that nobody's hurt. As tragic as this event was, it could obviously be a lot worse if, depending on the materials that the train itself was transporting. Hearing very early on that there were no injuries was a big sigh of relief, followed by another big sigh of relief when we understood it was only pulp that was being carried in those box cars, and although some leakage was happening, it was water only. So there were dangerous goods cars on the train, but none of those ended up derailed or leaking anything. So
you satisfied with the CN response?
Obviously the initial response, how quick they were communicating with us, getting equipment and manpower out there to deal with the situation, secure the scene, make it safe again, I think was good. I can't stress enough how uneasy it makes us that a train's going through this quickly. However, there's things that they have to do, and a lot of checks and balances put in place there to ensure that this isn't done haphazardly. So sure, but, you know, I think it's gonna take a while before our residents, feel that level of comfort that they should feel.
You don't have a train later today?
We'll have a train letter today, and I think it's, you know, we'll all look at that apprehensively as it goes through, and, I can't expect my residents or this community not to feel that way.
Your Worship, just along those lines of the response from CN, comments from you, if you could please, on the response from not only CN but everybody else, the authorities, the town, well, CN obviously, and all the crews, and
Yeah,
DLD if they were there.
no, great question. You know, we had, our fire department is a fantastic group of people there, and they've actually, they do a lot of interagency cooperation, working with RCMP, ESRD, ambulance, and all those groups came on scene yesterday. It was great communication. They were on very quickly, assessing the scene, looking at different things. We had, you know, brought in some canine support there to just make sure, you know, these big box cars are flipped over, we're gonna put through what's under them, and they're checking for all kinds of things. And yeah, no, it was fabulous cooperation, fabulous response by our groups, and great interagency cooperation. Very impressed.
How was the cooperation with the residents that had to be evacuated?
You know, I think the residents seemed to go well. RCMP was dealing with them very early on. We had assistance from Red Cross, who also came to support them last night. Talked with a couple of them briefly here in town council last night who were understood the situation, and obviously nobody likes getting displaced out of residence, but you know, safety being our prime concern, you know, that has to come first, and they understood that.
And you said they could possibly go back later today, correct?
That we're all hopeful that that will happen. Obviously, there's a couple of pieces that have to come together today to make sure that that can take place, but it is anticipated that those people will be this evening.
Carol, what are they doing loading those busted cars on the trucks?
Yeah, so basically what they do is all the material, most of those box cars are just cut up. They don't even transport them whole, just because of size and weight.
Cut them on the site?
On the site, yeah. You're more than welcome to go over, take some pictures, and so you'll just see a big pile of cut up debris at this point, which is then all loaded in trucks and trucked away. We'll probably see the trucks hauling material over the next day or two, and you know, so right now from those 9 cars, there's only 3 left that haven't been cut up. There's also 14 cars behind the 9 that derailed. They're still on site. They've been moved off that track to, they have a switch there in their yard. Those will be moved probably within the next 24 hours. And the other part of the train that was traveling east-west that was before the derailment has been removed. It was Smith and Wisconsin. So.
I was going to ask Your Worship, please correct me if I'm wrong here, but I would imagine that the emergency response plan was looked at, I'm not saying it was reworked, but it was looked at before, during, and after the fires in 2011. How good was that plan coming into effect in something like this?
Oh, excellent. So obviously following the fire in 2011, we did a ton of work to look at our response, look how we do it, we look at equipment, we look at the procedures, the manuals, the bylaws, our coordination, our communication, and looked at ways of improving that. And they've done a ton of work on that, spent hours on that, and it was apparent yesterday in the success of how well those groups work together, how quickly they work together, and you know, how quickly we were able to gain information. So.
Have you had any other responses from around the area saying, can we help? For instance, maybe the Hamlet Wallaska, the MD Opportunity, the Lesser Slave River MD?
None at this time. I was in communication with our MLA last night to assure that if there's anything that she can provide, she'd be happy to. But at this point, we had, you know, we're letting things transpire and felt comfortable so far. Joe?
Tyler, the damage to the properties on either side, I understand there was a little, but I haven't heard anything besides that.
Yeah, for what, we, you know, some of those box cars that were on the south side, you know, those 6 residences, we had fences, some of the outbuildings, some sheds and that sort of stuff that were impacted or destroyed. you know, but obviously no homes affected, so there, you know, there is some damage that will be done to those properties. I'm thankful that we're only talking about some fences and a few small sheds. CN has a team coming up to meet those people today and start working on getting that put back in order.
So how many meters into somebody's yard when a boxcar is gone, for example?
You know, not being a engineer, mathematician, or a surveyor guy, last night I would say the one that we saw that was in there the most probably would have maybe kind of looked at like it kind of hit a fence line in between two properties, and so in the back corner for both of them, and I would say maybe 10, 12 feet.
And how about in the former Central Plumbing Shop yard on the other side? Was there encroachment there?
There was encroachment there, but it doesn't actually look like it actually went into the yard. The fence doesn't seem to be damaged from what I saw. I have to confess, most of my attention was to the right as I was walking in this morning, looking at the rail line.